We are going live early because they are actually reading the verdict.
End of quotation marks. Clarification on if, quote, intervening cause, unquote, could mean things that could have been changed to prevent it.
This is the question that the jury is asking.
Quote, intervening cause, unquote,
Thank you.
could mean things that could have been changed to prevent it.
This is the question that the jury is asking.
Judge, do you have any thoughts about how to respond?
I'm not going, I'm just going to tell him to,
Just
we can't help him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just gonna tell him to.
Thank you, Your Honor. Continue.
Okay. Well, we're starting a little bit early. Apparently, there's a question from the jury, and we are going to start our review right after.
All right, we're in recess. Thank you.
Okay, it looks like they're going to recess, and we can start the review now. Thank you, those of you that hopped right on to join me. Hello, Rocket Couch. Hi, Shill. Unexpectedly to start a little bit early, but anyway, it's good. We got to hear the question. There will be questions from the jury back and forth. What did you guys think of the question? I mean, I don't know how they're going to get the answer to them. They're going to have to think about it and then send it through. In the meantime, we have a lot to go over as to what has happened with this trial since then. Excuse me. Well, my phone's going off because everybody thinks it was the verdict because I said verdict, but it's not. It's actually, I believe it was just a question. Hopefully that's what you guys heard too, right? There's definitely what I heard. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this up, but I am going to put some music on for a little bit and see if they're going to come back. And if not, I will definitely start the stream at 7 o'clock in another 40 minutes. And we'll go over all of that. I have to listen to it again, Mipit. I see your question there. Oh, she says, well, what was the question? I want to listen to it again in detail because I only heard part of it because I was messing around with trying to get everything set. and trying to get it up. But I am definitely going to go back, listen to it, and come back. I think they will be coming back with an answer in regards to it, what they're going to be doing, but we'll see. The jury has only been out a few hours. It's a complicated case. I've got a lot to say about it. I've been following it every day and making notes. And since it went to the jury today, I wanted to get one last review in. So I will be back in about, I may start a few minutes before 7. If they do go live again on the feed, I will definitely be right back here because I'm not going far. I'm not going to cancel the stream. I'm going to let it keep going. I'm going to just, Streamlabs is going to let me put on a little bit of music, I think. And I think that that's what I'm going to do, is just put a little music on and while I get things ready and go over stuff. And the first thing we'll discuss when I get back mid-bit is what that question was. Let's see. Oh, those of you in the chat, which is less annoying? This one? Oh, that's annoying. Okay. That's what we're going to do. Night driving. We'll be night driving. I have it on low. I will be back shortly. Let me just finish getting everything ready. Because I do have a lot on this case that we want to go over what everybody has heard, who's testified, and all of that. Up until today. Up until just a few hours ago, actually. All right. I will be back. it appears our verdict is already in. Okay, and we will bring up the replay of what Law and Crime put in. Let me just get this music off. Okay. All right. I have the volume up on this. All right. Does appear. That question, maybe you did ask me. Can you hear me okay first? I just want to make sure because I've been messing around with the volume and everything on ever. When long times they start actually, this is a few minutes behind, obviously. So that's going to be replaying the verdict. We'll hear it from them. It came very, very clear. Very, very quickly. They've only been deliberating about 2.5 hours, 3 hours tops. The question that they asked was from jury instruction number 20, and it was in quotes in the area where it constitutes an intervening cause that breaks the foreseeable chain of events. And their question was if intervening cause could mean things that could have been changed to prevent it. It seemed as soon as I read that, they were very well settled that a lot of what had happened was under the armorer's responsibility. And you know what? That's pretty much true. Okay, based on all of the testimony that's gone on, I'll go over a little bit of it. I do think more people are responsible than just Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. Well, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, as armorer for that set, had clear, direct responsibility for the handling of the weapons on that set. She was the line of defense for safety. Although it cannot be denied that the producers of this movie have already been fined for unsafe work conditions in the handling of gun arms, that there were multiple discharges during this the production of this movie. Many people complained, but also during the trial, one of the things that I noted is several complaints were made about Hannah to production, and they had done certain things. Some of her issues were handled and some weren't. But there's no denying that Alec Baldwin, although characterized as just a diva actor, was also a producer on this set. This was his movie. Let us not deny that, but they're not saying it a lot. And he bears responsibility for the pressure as the producers are the ones hiring Hannah. Her being younger, it was a difference in authority, but the final line was her. There was some conflict on who actually handed Alec the gun. He had originally said that it was David Halls, who actually took a guilty plea for his lack of responsibility on the set already, and then testified that he didn't hand him the gun. And then Alec had later said that it was Hannah. But originally, Hannah and Alec had both said it was David early on in the investigation. There was also what came through over the testimony in the last few days was some problems with the investigation. The original special prosecutor investigator, Robert Schilling, wrote a scathing email in regards to how the investigation was done. In that there was no investigation into how live ammo got to the set at all. Oh. All right. Okay, so they're saying that she's guilty. That she is guilty of. All right, let's see. It's very hard to read their integrity. You guys caught that, right? I'm hoping that they were going to actually put this up here, but it doesn't look like they are. Hold on. Let me find another one. I can find you another one while this one. Let me just make this one smaller again. We'll just watch it over there like that until in case they come back live. It doesn't. It's all the way back at the beginning, but I didn't see the guilty. I didn't see them come with the guilty. Okay, yes. Okay, hold on. I got it. Here we go. It just went really fast. Is this? Hold on. I don't hear anything though. Okay, here we go.
All right. Just a minute. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, through the foreperson, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
All right, let me see the verdict form.
There we go.
She needs a hearing.
Oh.
This was on Law and Crime.
All right, so let me repeat. I said, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, through the foreperson, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
All right, and do you wish to read the verdicts?
Sure.
Okay, I will start with count one.
Oh.
Okay, you have both of them. Will the defendant please stand?
We find the defendant Hannah Gutierrez guilty of involuntary manslaughter as charged in count 1. We find the defendant Hannah Gutierrez not guilty of tampering with evidence as charged in count 2.
All right, thank you. You may be seated. Let me get those forms, retrieve those forms from you. I'm going to do what's called polling the jury, but I need to put on the record this is your individual verdict, okay? So I'm going to start with the gentleman in the back. Is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Sir, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict? Ma'am, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Ma'am, is this your verdict? Okay, thank you. All right, so you've completed your service. Thank you so much for being here. It was a long trial. People may want to talk to you. You know, this has been pretty much a lot of publicity, and you don't have to, okay? So you can just simply say, I do not wish to talk, and move on. And if anybody bothers you, we really try to protect your privacy. If anybody bothers you, simply call my division, and we'll figure out what to do. But you also may talk, okay? So it's entirely up to you, okay? All right, so you can escort them out.
Yes, Your
All right. Thank you.
Honor. All rise.
George, just a minute.
All right, guilty. That's it. And I'm sorry that it went up. Definitely they have muted
You should
as the jury left. You're going back and forth, but I'm going to keep it up.
All right, you may be
Not-
seated.
Not guilty on the evidence tampering.
All right, is there anything that the state's requesting based upon the verdict?
We would request that Ms. Gutierrez be taken into custody.
Mr. Bowles?
Your Honor, we would request under, pull up the rule, Your Honor. Your Honor, Rule 5402, release pending sentencing. In this court's discretion, under the same conditions or other conditions as this court would deem necessary. Ms. Gutierrez has been on conditions. She has not violated those conditions. She has voluntarily appeared in all court proceedings. Your Honor, I would request this court to continue conditions or whatever conditions this court would have on release.
All right, thank you. I'm going to remand you, and the reason why I'm going to remand you is you are now convicted. And so, and this is a death. It's a criminal negligence, but it's still a death. And so, deputies, you're going to take her into custody, and we will set a sentencing date. What is the best, what do you want to look like on that? And we need an order of remand, do we? Okay. Counsel?
In terms of the sentencing date,
Yes.
at the court's convenience, will be available. There are 2 weeks in May that I'm unavailable. Those are the last 2 weeks of May.
All right. Mr. Bowles?
Your Honor, as soon as this court has time, we will be available.
All right, so, do you have any conflict like that? She said May. Do you have any conflict?
I don't know for sure, Your Honor, that I could. I do have other trials, but I think mid-May.
Well, I can do it sooner.
Okay.
I just wondered if you had any conflicts along the way.
Doesn't look like mid-May, Your Honor. I do. I don't think I have any conflicts.
Well, I'm sorry, not understanding. Do you have, okay, we're in March. Do you have time before May?
We have time in April.
Okay,
Sure.
all right, okay. All right, anything else before the court?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We're in recess.
All right. Wow. Well, this didn't go the way I planned today. And I'm sure it didn't go the way Hannah Gutierrez had hoped that it would. This was a very, very complicated case. I got into it kind of late. I'm going to follow Alec Baldwin's portion of this. There was so much that came out in this trial that I want to talk about. It's kind of moot now. I was going to ask you guys whether she thought you whether you thought she was going to be guilty or not guilty, but now I'm going to just ask you if you agree with the verdict, because it's moot. If the jury has already decided, it doesn't really, Now, the two charges that she was up for, the first charge was involuntary manslaughter. And if they decided that she was not guilty of that, they could have gone on with negligent use of a firearm that caused, harm and irresponsible firearm handling. She could have convicted her of that instead. And then the third charge that was on there was something that came 20 months after the original indictment from the prosecution, because they found out that she handed a bag of some substance that they considered to be a controlled substance to someone to get rid of when she was in the hotel room, very upset before she even knew. When they went to tell the actual, what they call the mom of the state, somebody who gets coffee and takes care of people and everything, this woman named Rachel went to the hotel room for Hannah Gutierrez to bring her purse or something like that. And actually they were discussing, she's the one who told her that Hannah Hutchinson had passed. So she didn't know before that. She knew she was in the hospital. She was very upset. She gave her this thing to him. Rachel said that she was a sober addict. She had an addiction problem in the past. So when she left the room, she threw what she perceived to be a drug, possibly cocaine, in the garbage and left. Now, because the charging document said cocaine, I found it quite interesting. The prosecution, after the testimony of Rachel, when defense had actually countered her testimony about this charge, said, how do you know that's what it was? So she said she's seen things like that looked like it, but nobody really knew what was in that bag, and they didn't have the bag for evidence. So prosecution wanted to change the charge to controlled substance, unknown controlled substance. Well, since they had never tested it or anything, the judge wouldn't let them. So there's no way the jury was going to convict on that, because this wasn't even evidence. It wasn't, they weren't looking for it, wasn't evidence. She was never drug tested on the set. so it was kind of moot. The defense had already said that that was a retaliatory charge, came late because of the information that was released about the former special investigator for the DA's office, who did a scathing email in regards to the investigation. It said, because all along the defense had said that it was impossible for Hannah to do her job, and she wasn't responsible for live ammunition being brought onto the set. But no one can doubt that as the armorer, her responsibility was in regards to making sure everybody was safe on that set. And that was the bone of contention. I really did not see all along, and from all the legal channels that I've watched, and I've watched like at least 12 of them during this case, and just keeping up with everything the best that I can. They all were on just about the same page. And every time they brought an armorer on to talk about it, someone with experience, someone from safety, they said that's the final line there. If she felt that she was unable to perform her duties to the best of her ability and keep people safe, she should have left the job, because it is her responsibility. You can't just turn around and go, well, they were unsafe on set and it's not my fault because they made a chaotic set. Is it true it was a chaotic set? Yes. Is it true the set itself, the producers and Alec Baldwin were all in violation and have paid fines and have settled civil lawsuits to the same? Yes. But the line was Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was the armorer. And the armorer's main function there was the safety and make sure that gun safety was the rule, okay, and that everybody was following it and everybody was protected. Now, the defense pressed hard on those live ammunition, how it got there. Why didn't anybody investigate that? It was there were fireworks between the defense and the prosecution, between James Bowles and Carrie Morrissey. There was fireworks back and forth, a lot of antagonistic conversation back and forth, a little needling here and there about that. And some of the objections that Carrie Morrissey made. Now, the interesting thing about Carrie Morrissey is that she's not normally a prosecutor. She's a special prosecutor for this case, but she's normally a defense attorney. So she had a unique style that I think really benefited her, really benefited her here, because she knew exactly what Jason Bowles was trying to do every time. But she really attacked it antagonistically. She knew where the weaknesses were in her case, and there wasn't anything she could do about it. A lot of that happened before she took over. A lot of it was in regards to the investigation. Number one, their main witness, Seth Kinney, was the provider of ammunition for that set. Okay. And the prop master, Sarah Zachary, is his employee, the one who threw away bullets. Threw away. They don't belong to her. They belong to Seth Kinney. And during his testimony, he had to admit that it was scarce to get the type of ammunition they needed. And so it was kind of sketch that she ended up throwing them away after talking to him. It was also kind of sketch that he had more than 40 conversations with the investigators, yet they never, since he admitted to providing some of the ammunition on set, they never took his DNA or his fingerprints while they were trying to figure out where that live ammunition came from. It seemed like they kind of excluded him. Now, he was a wealth of information in regards to how things happen, and I can understand them talking to him so much. But the Corporal Alexandra Hancock, she came under some scrutiny there for that. They had to admit it. The two detectives, the lieutenant and the deputy who were first on scene, also had to admit to the chaotic scene that they approached, that they did not separate witnesses, that they did not protect any of the evidence. They did it for quite some time, and that things were happening. Number one, that Sarah Zachary was receiving calls from her boss in that evidence was being thrown away, and yet Sarah Zachary was not charged with tampering with evidence, and she was testifying for the prosecution. Now, she had to tell the truth. She also said that Hannah was a good armorer. In several emails and in several text messages when asked prior to the trial, prior to the shooting, when people were trying to get her fired. She also kind of did a reverse and wanted to get her fired when certain things started to happen. There was a lot of tension there, you know. So, hey, Damon, welcome. Mrs. Cassandra, Fish Nerd, I see people coming in. Liam, it's nice to see you. I know this is all moot now, talking about the trial, but I did research it like all day today to try to get you up to date. And I'm interested to your thoughts, okay? I want to know if you agree with the guilty verdict. I'm going to put up a poll. And then I guess we can just talk about your opinions on what you have seen and heard. Okay, there's my poll, and I'm curious. It's a backstabbing environment. I agree, Liam. It seemed like everybody was. Seth Kenny, the man who owns PDQ Props, who was actually, the one supplying props and ammunition for the set, and actually was the employer of the prop master, Sarah Zachary there. He actually said that he's very good friends with Hannah Gutierrez's father, and he understood he was trying to protect him. But he could tell from the beginning that they were trying to make it his responsibility because, of course, if he's the one supplying the ammunition and live ammunition is on the set, there's no doubt that they're going to look at him, right? I mean, that's just common sense. Like, so you can understand why he felt that way. And so a lot of those conversations that he had with the investigators could have been just to find out what was going on and just to try to get the story out there, because he had nothing to do with it. Because in the end, he testified that he only gave one box of ammunition, and that actually Hannah, because of the shortage, had to use extra ammunition that was left over from the set of 1883 or another set that she was on, that she had to bring them from her own position in another place, because they didn't have enough. All right. Another part of the investigation that they could never answer is why the person who actually gave extra ammunition to the set that they found on set as evidence, boxes marked with the initials JS, which was linked back to Joe Swanson, who was another provider of ammunition to the set, why he was never interviewed or questioned. No DNA or fingerprints on him either. It seemed that he had to admit on the stand, everyone involved with the investigation, that they were not concerned where the live ammunition came from. They were more concerned in who pulled the trigger and how they got the gun and whose responsibility it was. And I can understand that. I mean, someone's been injured, seriously. But the whole case involves, also the walking off of most of the camera crew who felt unsafe with Alec Baldwin waving a gun around, even after directors yell cut. He's actually discharging a weapon. He's laying on the ground, pointing the weapon at people while he's instructing things. He's yelling for the armorer and the rest of the crew to hurry up because he wants another take. All diva attitude, I get, but also some responsibility there, because there's no getting around the fact that Alec Baldwin was not just an actor on set. He was a producer of Rust. He had some weight. He was an ominous figure. Everybody there worked for him. It was an unsafe environment, but that does not excuse Hannah Gutierrez's kind of flippant attitude towards the job to begin with. There was many clips of her just doing things against what people said was standard armor protocol or standard gun safety. Okay. Well, the one thing that kind of struck me is that the way that she checked the gun for the bullets, they kept making it like she should have taken each one out and shook it. And yes, in a perfect world, to actually triple check, and I understand that that would be protocol. But if she doesn't think that there's any live ammunition on set, that's what I'm thinking. But it is her responsibility, and there's no doubt about that. But so many people failed on this set in following protocol in gun safety it's ridiculous. I mean, Alec Baldwin pointed a gun at a child. Alec Baldwin continued firing a gun after cut. Okay. Alec Baldwin didn't give the gun back after the scene. He laid on the ground and instructed people and like flailed it around and stuff. Used it to point. It was rough. It was rough. Okay. Liam says, I would have left, but everyone has the wherewithal to go against their employer when just starting out in an ego-driven environment like the movie industry. You see, Liam, I get that because I can understand the pressure that Hannah, at 24 years old in this industry, also being the daughter of a well-known armorer, like one of the best in the build. Val Reed was well-known. No one doubts his expertise in the field. Being his daughter alone made her a target of many people on the set. Okay. I can understand the pressure she was under. I can understand the chip on her shoulder. I can't understand the lack of responsibility. I think she should have been a little more aware that she had to be more than perfect. It's unfair, but it's required. Okay. Yeah, it's unfair, but it's required. Yeah, maybe there are. And that's why I wanted to take the time to some of the things that I saw. And I'd like, to tell everyone in regards to the trial, some of the things that did come up, because this is all going to play in Alec Baldwin's case that's going to go forward on July 8th, in July. And it's going to be another trial. And all along, the defense has said that because of that trial and the charges and everything that's been going against the producers and Alec Baldwin, that they were trying to make Hannah Gutierrez a scapegoat. I don't know necessarily. I know they're trying to put more blame on her than she deserves. Did she fail in her responsibilities? In my humble opinion, absolutely. I'm not an armorer. I'm not even a lawyer. I think it was going to be pretty hard to prove that she did her job 100% perfect. There was just too many things wrong on set, too many incidences of guns being fired when they shouldn't have been. And let's face it, they found 6 live rounds on the set. How did they get there? Okay, that's one question. But the question that really put Hannah in jeopardy as far as a guilty verdict is that Hannah wasn't aware that there were 6 live bullets on the set. Was she aware or wasn't she aware? Did she know and not care? Or did she just not do her job well enough to know? There was no getting around that. Too many questions. A lot. I agree, maybe like so many questions still. Nice to see you, Demon Orb. Hey, Jasper. Good to see you too. Hey, Juju B. This is your headache case. Yes. It was ridiculous she got offered the job, and it's ridiculous that she accepted it. It's not so, I don't agree with it being ridiculous she got the job. Nepotism exists, and if she'd been training with her father all along, she could have been an outstanding armorer for all we know, in the right conditions. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So at 24 years old, I think she was not right for this particular situation. I do think it's ridiculous that she accepted it, knowing the reputation of Alec Baldwin, knowing some of the reputation of the producers on the set. Okay. It was a chaotic. The fact that she actually accepted it, I mean, yeah, take a chance, But, the fact that she stayed there after all of that pressure and things going wrong, well, that's the problem. That's a serious problem, knowing herself. Yep, exactly. And, Shill, thank you so much. You're so kind, Thank you so much, Shill, for donating 5 memberships to the channel. It looks like they will be Juju B, Jasper, D Rabbits, Dirty Uncle Sal, and Teresa. Welcome to membership. If you're not already in the Discord from a membership or a gifted membership prior or being a collaborator, then I we'll put up a community post. I put one up about once a month that will have the link, or you can contact me privately with your Discord ID and I will send you the link. We do a lot of crime talk in there, and there's a lot of information on all the cases that we're covering that we share with everyone on a regular basis. And thank you again, Shil, for all your support. I really appreciate it. And welcome, everybody. Oh, that was so sweet. Whatever the reason was, Shil, I totally appreciate it. It's like so good. Yeah. Liam said she failed. I assume you mean the armorer, but only in a way in which a cheap fan belt, which is over tightened on an engine overrated for it, would fail. Exactly. Not up for the job. A bunch of other pressure. There's a lot of other people responsible too, but it doesn't negate her responsibility. Absolutely. And let me remind you that even though she's got involuntary manslaughter, she's up for 3 years and a fine of $5,000. That's it. And if Alex Baldwin is convicted of his charges, he'll be up for 18 months and a fine. Someone lost their life. And I know that the producers and Alec Baldwin have already settled with the husband of Hannah Hutchins and for her son. They made him a producer on the movie so that he will benefit from anything that happens in the profit of the movie. They also secured millions of dollars for the son to come forward when he's older at 18 and 21 to take care of him. They admitted, they settled out of court with that when he was suing. They also have a suit with the medic who treated Hannah Hutchins and Joel Souza for their injuries. In that they're paying through that too. One of those that testified, the dolly operator, Ross Adagio, he's also suing the production company and Alec Baldwin, but not Hannah Gutierrez. He said that they made an absolute environment of chaos. He'd never worked on a set that was so chaotic in just so many safety issues. And he's also, that came up during the trial, he's suing them also. There are so many civil suits. In regards to the medic lawsuit, I do believe that the prop assistant that was hired by Seth, that is an employee of Seth Kenny, actually PDQ, props, she actually, through default, because her lawyer didn't file a response, is on the hook for $1.5 million in a summary judgment by the attorneys for the medic, by the judge, granted to the medic, rather. And I don't know what's going to happen there, but the judge says there's really nothing she can do because the law states, that's it. She feels for the woman that her attorney had tried to get a hold of the insurance company attorneys and those for the producers of Rust, the movie industry, consultants, whatever, and thought that they were taking care of it, but thinking that they're taking care of it and guaranteeing you have covered the butt of your client. Well, let's just say those are two different things, huh? And the judge agreed. Hopefully Sarah Zachary will sue the previous attorney and he will pay the judgment because it's all his fault. That was total misconduct. That was total, malpractice. Yeah. So that's where that one is. But back to Hannah Gutierrez, you could see that behind her she had relatives that were crying. I did not see her father, but I do believe that may have been her mother. And Hannah herself was solemn and unreactionary, and she was mostly, besides doing some side eye rolls and talking to her attorney here and there, she was listening intently, making notes and things. I think she knows she's in serious trouble, but she looked to be very on the ball with everything. Now, at the shooting, a lot was used against her on the scene of the shooting because she was so emotional. and I can't imagine anybody who wouldn't be, who knows that their responsibilities are and can't imagine that a live bullet just came out of a gun that she handed to somebody when there's not supposed to be live ammunition on set. You know, they made a big deal that she didn't want to be alone. She didn't want to talk to anybody on production. You have to remember, she was already screamed at by Alec Baldwin. Where was he? He was screaming at everybody. They were like talking to David Halls and everybody over on the side. David Halls, who already had settled with a guilty plea later. She just, under all of that pressure in getting, like, I can just imagine, she did not feel that anyone would be in her corner, and I don't blame her. And also just the immense responsibility because you know it's your job. And yet they tried to use that against her, saying she was worried about her career. She did not know that Hannah Hutchins had died at the time that they were asking her those questions until later. Who knows how any of us would act? Well, I do believe that a lot of this, the jury, well, I'm going to say the jury got it right. But I'm also going to say that both the prosecution and the defense laid out enough information to really hold others responsible too. A lot came out in this trial. And I think we're going to see that being combated in July. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how Alec Baldwin's attorneys try to keep a lot of this out of the court, and how they try to use Hannah Gutierrez as the only one responsible for this. She is not the only one responsible for this. The movie industry itself is going to need to make some changes. And that was a statement that Ross Adagio, the dolly operator, who was a friend of Joel Souza, who got shot, who said, I may be suing. You know, when the defense brought up that he was suing Alec Baldwin in the producers, he said, yes. He said, oh, for money? And he says, no, for justice. Because something has to change. This can't happen. 2 people were shot on a movie set. Things have to change. I applaud him for that. He was emotional. He was distraught. He blames Hannah Gutierrez because it was her responsibility. He came right out. He may not be suing her, but he blames her because she loaded that gun. He said on the stand, she loaded the gun that the bullet came out of that shot my friend and killed Hannah Hutchins. There's no doubt about that. She loaded that gun. It was her responsibility. It's up to her to know what she's loading it with, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Liam. She had some tears at the verdict. I agree. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mrs. Cassandra, if I was actually Hannah Gutierrez, I wouldn't want to work in Hollywood again. I really wouldn't. It's a cutthroat business to begin with. To have that kind of responsibility for people's safety. On one hand, you get the respect like her father does, Del Reed, you know, but that takes years to earn. And after something like this, I don't think it's recoverable. I would be surprised, you know. Unless, of course, she wants to become an actress. She's, you know, I found her to be quite an interesting appearing person with composure in all. And the way that she changed from how she was on set to how she was in the court, who knows? Who knows? And I'm not saying that that was done on purpose. I'm just saying that was amiable. It was pleasant to see. You know, she seemed quite composed. Her charges were up to 3 years, Jujubee, from what I read, and I could be mistaken. His was in Alec Baldwin. In the last thing I read is that he's up for 18 months. Yeah, she's up for 3 years, I believe, under the statute that she was charged on. But we'll see. They apparently, from the way they were talking, it was my understanding, and you guys can correct me from what you heard, that they're going to be coming quite quickly to sentencing. They're looking at the beginning, like mid-May at the latest, but the judge said she could be available earlier. So I guess we'll see what the announcement is, you know. Demon Orb says, let me just get that up. I was on a set just after the Rust thing. Glad I work in the UK. Very unlikely to have live rounds. Yeah, very unlikely. Well, this set had so many problems, Demon. Or they actually had a walkout of people who had been complaining about unsafe conditions. OSHA came in and fined them over $100,000. Actually, I think it was $137,000, but then through negotiation, it was reduced down to $100,000. But they definitely said it was an unsafe work environment. The first officers on the scene said it was very chaotic. Of course, because the shooting just happened. But just that people didn't, there was props, things all over the place. Nobody was watching anything. Just even as they were doing their investigation, protocols were not being followed by many people. Let's be clear. It is not only the armorer's responsibility. It is the final line, and she encompasses a lot of the responsibility on the set for gun safety. But the prop master also, okay? The assistant director, okay? David Halls, also, all right? They all, David Halls was chief responsibility for safety in general on the set. And so there was a problem with Hannah and these gun discharges going on. It was up to him to help get that in control. All right. When Alex was seeing the clip that they showed, a video of Alec Baldwin running up the hill shooting, the director yelling cut, and then he shot again up into the air. You can hear people cursing. You heard somebody curse and yell. Okay. There was another video that they showed where Hannah did try to correct him. He pushes things off. But they also showed video of her very carelessly checking a gun quite quickly. All right. And if she had any doubt about the bullets that were in there, she admitted it to having her fanny pack full of dummy rounds that she could have swapped them all out for and knew for sure. And I think when that statement was made in court, that might have been the final decision for the jury. I know if I was on the jury, it would have been for me. Because the question that they asked, if she had changed one thing to change the outcome, does that mean? Was that intervening clause? They knew that she was responsible for loading that gun. If she had any doubt of the bullets that were in it, if any of them looked different from the other one, she could have just as easily emptied the chamber. She had a fanny pack on her with what she knew to be dummies. She could have secured that gun with dummy ammunition or blanks or whatever you call them. I'm not technical. At that moment. And there was no doubt that that was her responsibility. And when I heard the question that they asked, I went right back to that statement that was made in court. And I think that's where the jury was too. I know that's where I would have been. I don't know what you guys think. And I'm curious. We got some questions in here. I've been wanting to talk to you guys about this case like all week, but it kept going on and I kept adding and adding stuff. The prosecutor in this case tested my patience on occasion. She would occasionally drift into a condescending and or patronizing tone of voice. Yeah, Juju. I don't know if you were in here before when I said the interesting thing about her is I think where this particular tone of voice comes from, and I know what you're talking about here, is because she's normally a defense attorney. So she's used to innuendo and alluding to things, you know, trying to like put that doubt in there. And a lot of times, instead of stating facts, she was like trying to avoid facts, trying to get things not into evidence. Like she knew the holes in her case, terrible. And she did try my patience too, especially with the bickering back and forth with Jason Bowles. You know, he didn't really start it with her. He just got annoyed. And he was just like, I don't want to hear it, you know, like stop, you know. I believe he had every right to question Corporal Alexandra Hancock in regards to the investigation as to why, if she talked 40 times with Seth Kinney, did she not investigate further? Why it took a month to actually check his premises since they were talking to him from the start? Why they never took his DNA and fingerprints if he was being so damn cooperative and he was innocent? Okay, why couldn't they look at him further? Like what was going on there? I think that was an interesting angle. Not that I think that he's guilty of anything, but the fact that they wouldn't even pursue it made me scratch my head. And the fact that Carrie Morrissey didn't even want you to know about that really made me scratch my head. Okay. I do kind of feel for Hannah. I'm also in the same line of work as my dad. And I can't imagine how bad it would mess me up if I caused something so horrific on my first big job, even indirectly. And it's a valid point there, Rocky Couch. You understand that, you got to start somewhere, and you're starting under the gun. You got to leg up into the industry. But everybody's going to think you don't deserve the job no matter what. She was under a lot of pressure. But it was her responsibility. And if that pressure got to be too much, where there is evidence that it was, she felt she could not correct Alec Baldwin as an actor that she was handing a gun to. At that point, she should have walked away from the job. Now, hindsight is perfect vision. It's easy for you and I and the jury and everybody else to say that. It is her responsibility, but we don't know exactly the pressures that she was under at the time. Perhaps she was trying to prove that she could eventually get him to do it or something. We don't know. We don't know all the efforts or what was going through her head, but it was her responsibility. And she felt that she couldn't do her job. And as soon as she felt she couldn't do her job, and I say that not from a statement that Hannah made, but because of the angle the defense took. So, that's kind of like a presumption there, because the angle was that she was unable to do her job 100% because of the conditions that the producers and Alec Baldwin had made on the set. I work in film TV, had a shoot last year that was terrible, unsafe location. And what did you do, Demon? Do people think of leaving the job because it's unsafe? I mean, I know they can report it, and it's other people's responsibility to take care of it. Well, that's the interesting angle there, right, Demon? Where's the line where you know that something is unsafe location and something could happen? Where do we all draw the line to walk away? On the set of Rust, several people did. They organized a walkout. The scene was so chaotic because, Hannah Hutchinson was in there managing the camera herself because of the walkout, because they were so short-staffed. There's so much wrong here. Yep. Aaron says you're supposed to have two people present to inspect every round whenever you load a weapon. The other is the first AD, and he's already been sentenced. Exactly. And now he's claiming, he wants to testify that Hannah had more responsibility. But he already admitted that he fell down in his responsibilities. Okay. And yeah, she says that she gave the gun to him and he gave it to Alec. Okay. But you're right. I think that's why the jury made her guilty, Mousy. The whole accident could have been avoidable. It's true. It's true. And there's more people than Hannah Gutierrez-Reed to be held responsible for this. Okay. We're going to hope it changes. There were several people that testified that they never heard of live ammunition on a movie set before. And they've done quite a few Westerns and things like that. They had armorers up there. Armorers have been on legal channels. They said, this is ridiculous that there was live ammunition. This should never happen. And that's why I don't understand why they didn't further investigate how that live ammunition got there. I do believe that the defense brought that up. And although it doesn't negate Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's responsibilities, of course it doesn't. But that's a big loophole in this case, in the investigation, in the responsibilities of others too. I don't think the whole truth is out here yet. I really don't. I don't know about the rest of you. And that's not just being dramatic. I really don't. It's been my question through this whole case. Erin says it was her responsibility to shut it down the moment it became unsafe. That's part of her job. Exactly. And if they wouldn't shut it down, she should have left the job. Exactly. Exactly. But here is Alec Baldwin going, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Here is the pressure of one of my first jobs, I'm the armorer. What do I do? There is also not having the experience of dealing with the actors. Okay. Actually, the actual training of gun safety wasn't actually her responsibility. Making sure they did it was her responsibility. But I believe the first AD was the one who actually had the responsibility of training the actors. Okay. But you're right, Aaron. It was her responsibility to make sure that she did it. I had no idea there's such a thing as dummy ammunition. Blanks, yes. Whoever, whatever accidents alike seem easily avoidable. No shooting at all on scenes where dummies are in use and or blanks only. I don't know, like the word dummy, like they're talking about ones that flash, ones that make noises, actual blanks. They were talking about being able to tell if it's a blank by it moving. Okay. They were also brought forth testimony that some of the blanks were actual blanks, but you couldn't hear them rattling, that the rattling was muffled, that there was some kind of damage to them there too. So the normal protocols that they have. But one thing they called Hannah Gutierrez out for is not removing those bullets and shaking them to make sure that they were blanks, so to speak, not live ammunition. There are 2 or 3 different terms that they used were different levels of non-live ammunition. Okay, that I get confused and I'm not going to even pretend to know the difference between all of them. I would have to bring up somebody like Aaron or Wrecker or someone who's more familiar with gun safety and guns in general to go over all of that, because I definitely wouldn't be able to at all. Yeah, and keep it straight. Okay. So Demon said what he did is he talked to his boss, but he didn't get any support. I think productions just passed the blame and ignored problems. Yes, because there was actually a line producer who said that Hannah had asked for extra hours and did get it, and that complaints were received and that she did talk to Hannah about them. Okay. But when Hannah asked for extra training in regards to dealing with the child on set, it was denied. Now, there's confusion as to what actually Hannah meant. They knew that the child would not be handling the gun, okay? But Alex was pointing that gun at that child, and that was caught on video too during waving it around when he didn't need to. And when I say like when he didn't need to, I mean while the film was not running. After a scene is cut, before all of that, he shouldn't even have the gun in his hand. It should only be given to him when they're going to actually do the scene. That's what they were explaining what protocol was. Okay. Dummy ammo is used because, especially in a revolver, blanks do not look at all real. Okay. Blank rounds have powder but no slug. Dummies have slugs but no powder. Thank you, Aaron. They're supposed to shake each dummy to listen for the bead inside that shows there's no powder in the cartridge. Thank you. That's clarifying. I knew you would know. Okay. All right. It's supposed to be a dummy, not a blank. They look the same except for the holes in the side and sometimes an expended primer. There was a lot of talk in this trial about the primer. It was obvious the live bullet had silver primer on it, not gold. Okay. And that was a big thing of contention, but they also brought in evidence that some of the blanks used on another movie set that both Seth Kinney was aware of in Hannah Gutierrez-Reed and Thel Reed did have live ammunition with silver primer, but also dummies with silver primer. Not saying she's innocent, but I've been in that position of having a boss like that while being so new to a job. Eventually, keeping your job becomes more important than anything else because of fear. Exactly. And, you're taking care of a family. You've got bills. This is what's it going to look like? It's the first opportunity that you get. You walk off the set. You have to worry about being called a troublemaker, not getting along with others. They were already saying that about her. They were already saying she was difficult to work with. Okay. On her first job. I mean, she had a lot of pressure on her, and that's no excuse for falling down on the responsibilities. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to say that, that they should have come to a different verdict, because I do believe that the jury got the verdict correct. I just really believe there's more to this, a lot more to it. My interest in this case is broader than what Hannah Gutierrez-Reed did. My interest in this case is an industry that allows these things to happen. to the production of money, greed, and ego. Who is forcing all of that behind the scenes? Who's the one saying, hurry up? Oh, it's costing too much money to do the right thing. I always have an issue with that kind of stuff. In this particular case, stinks of it overwhelmingly. I'd like to follow this all the way through to see what happens with Alec Baldwin, all of the civil cases. But more than that, I want to see stricter regulations in the industry. I want to see what the industry does about it. Who speaks up and does the right thing? You know, what people out there trying to make money in the production of these kinds of Westerns and stuff like that are willing to say safety is worth putting money behind? People's lives. Okay, they were using, remember, this was an old Western kind of film. They're using guns from the 1800s, replicas, things that were made. They wanted lifelike. It was more important to have lifelike everything. It's got to look so damn real. It's got to be the best. I understand that. But also, the lives of those that are helping you produce your product. They are employees, consultants, people you hired, people you trust, people you respect for in the industry for what they do. And their lives and their safety matters. I hope to see more outrage in regards to how this happened and more investigation into where those live bullets came from. And if they came from Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, if she actually brought them onto set, then involuntary manslaughter is not a strict enough charge, is it? That I wouldn't even be opposed to them recharging her for something more severe. Where those live bullets came from matters. And I can't believe everybody's just ignoring that part of the investigation. That part of the investigation will help make sure it doesn't happen again. Hey, Amy. Nice to see you. But anyway, does anyone have any other questions in regards to the testimony that happened or want to discuss how the jury, like that question that they asked? I would like to know, because we came live really, really quick and we hardly even heard the question. It was so fast. But once you knew what the question was the jury asked, did you kind of get a feeling? Like I did. I was like, that's spot on. Talk about hit the nail on the head right there. Because basically it meant, was there anything Hannah could have done to prevent the outcome? There was. There was the proper gun check. They showed that she did not do a proper gun check before she handed that gun to David Halls. Even if she handed it to Alex or David Halls handed it to Alex, moot point. Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, under the responsibility of her job as armorer, her responsibility, she loaded that gun. She didn't load it and check it. She checked that gun. It was loaded by somebody else, handed to her. She checked that gun. If she had any doubt at all, she had a fanny pack full of dummy ammunition that she clearly could have loaded into there. She just opened the barrel, looked at the ends. She didn't pull any bullets out and spun it, gave it back. And that's on video. It's the nail in the coffin, so to speak, for the verdict. They hit the nail on the head when they focused right there. That jury was paying attention. I have to give them a lot of credit. Let's just see what we've got going on here. Westerns and any movie using revolvers have a higher chance of accidental shootings. Semi-automatics don't need dummy rounds because the bullet doesn't show. Thank you for that information, Aaron. I mean, we all love to watch movies that have realistic props and action and everything like that. I'm a fan myself. I understand why it's done. Some of the complaints on the set were that shotguns and rifles were left, shotguns were left unsecured on the set, on prop carts all over. And there was complaints about Hannah for that, like that went through to higher up, to line producers and all of this, the chain of command that goes up. There are so many different sections of producers involved with the movie that my head was spinning. It was a job and a half just keeping straight who was responsible for what. Yes, Amy, right? They were good to catch that in the video. Good for the jury. I'm sure you feel the way I do too. Like, I know that guns have a purpose, but gun safety is like paramount. Like, because I know you and I have talked about this before, and you know a little bit about guns. So I know that you would have been horrified to watch her just spin that thing and close it and hand it off. But then again, who would think there'd be live ammunition on the set when all they use is non-live? Okay. Yep. That jury, I do think that the jury was paying really good attention. Yeah. I don't remember if I said hello, blame my It's okay, Sheil. Sure, everybody understands. You're always so friendly in the chat. Yep. Yeah, I know, right, Amy? Because and when they asked that question, if anything she could have done, the question was from instruction number 20, and it was about the language, and they quoted, or constitutes an intervening cause that breaks the foreseeable chain of events. Because to be involuntary manslaughter, it's like a reasonable person could have foreseen the outcome of this event. Okay, and it could have been prevented. In that because you didn't do anything, or something that you did do, you caused the death of another. All right. And so that was in instruction number 20, that language there. And their actual question about it was, the question was, if intervening cause could mean things that could have been changed to prevent it. And her actually reloading that gun with what she knew to be actual cleared dummy bullets or fake bullets or whatever you want to call them. Let's just say non-live ammunition. That would have been definitely to secure that that gun was a cold gun. Nothing was going to fire out of that. That was it. There were rumors of crew members target shooting after hours, but I don't know how they panned out. There was also some of that wasn't actually rumors. Some of that turned out to be actually that crew members were taking people for target shooting live in different locations. A lot of the training that was done with live ammunition, so that they could feel the recoil of the gun, or so that they could mimic it, because as came out in the trial, during the Alec Baldwin interviews, I learned, now this was not part of the trial. What I'm going to say right now was not in the trial. Okay. But Alec Baldwin had said they did have some target practicing and shooting like that they went to, that he had already attended in the past. So he really didn't go, but that did happen because he has to fake the recoil. The director has to, he has to fake the recoil, because with the non-live ammunition, doesn't have one. And so they do often train, as was discovered, with live ammunition, but it's supposed to be offset. If it's anywhere near the production of the movie, if it's on the set of the production of the movie, it's a violation of the safety protocols. They're supposed to go to, let's just say, a training facility or some remote location, some safer place than where all these other people are working to do it. But not this time. They did it right there, a little ways off from where they were actually shooting at the time. And they said because they were in a remote location. It's still a violation. I don't think the law cares if you have to travel. They really don't. I don't think safety protocols matter if you have to make a little more effort. That's how we got in this situation, right? No one making the effort. A little more effort necessary to clamp things down the way they needed to be. There's no doubt that this was one of the worst sets to work on. Everyone seems to be traumatized in some way about it. Everybody has changed their outlook. It has affected them in some kind of way. The medic who treated, she has been a medic on many, many sets, and she's treated other people for injuries. The horror of this one, the chaos, the fact that it could have been so avoided. She doesn't think she's going to be able to work on a set again. I feel for her. I feel for the friends that watched, the people that knew her, that watched somebody be injured to the point that they were going to die. That bullet went through her and then hit the assistant director, Joel Sol, or the director, rather, that had to listen to them screaming, him screaming in pain, especially. Watch them being treated. Everyone running around. There were 20 people in that church that heard that gunfire, that saw Alex fire that weapon, and saw the impact and the results. Well, let's just hope some change happens. There's definitely going to be change in Hannah Gutierrez-Reed's life, in her future. Let's just hope that there's some change in the industry too. And let's just see that justice is also done in July. Because if Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is responsible as the armorer, then Alec Baldwin, as a diva actor, causing a freaking nonsense, and also a producer causing the pressure, is also just as liable. Mm-hmm. Because he keeps saying he didn't pull that trigger. He lied. That gun can't go off without being pulled, and they proved it in court. That's why he got recharged. He's not giving good stasis. And I've got an interview. His hour-long interview is something you guys should check out on Law and Crime. I just did. He was throwing Hannah on the bus from the start. He knew he was going to get looked at. Watch his careful wording. Watch how he backpedals. Listen to his interview with the first investigators. It's interesting. Very interesting. It's annoying, isn't it, Liam? Yeah. I wonder this too. And I wonder, I'm sure he is devastated right now. I am. It's obvious he loves his daughter. It's all, maybe she just didn't want to fail him. Who knows if she talked to him or not? I'm not sure. Well, guys, we did start a little early, so I think on that, I think I'm just going to wrap it up if you don't have more questions. Michael Massey didn't work for a year after the pro, and he bore no fault in the case. Exactly. Jason Eccles was interviewed in regards to this for the boss because he was involved in it, and he said he was happy, like he couldn't believe it. He was upset. Like, there's an interview with him too, the guy from Supernatural, Jason Eccles. It's not something anyone perceived was possible until it actually happened. Although they all knew the set was unsafe, nobody's actually thinking, live ammunition. Yes, Liam, thank you for reminding me. There is, for those of you that are members of the channel and have your Discord access, there is game night tonight over there. We're going to be having a talk over there and doing some games. She was probably terrified of ruining his legacy. You know what? Rocket Couch, yeah. Yep. I can see that pressure. But who knows, who knows? Yeah. Amy, that reminds me, let me send you yours. I forgot. Oh, boo, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I'm going to DM you in Discord right away with it. Sorry about that. Alex kept violating the finger off trigger rule too. You could see him with his finger on the trigger when he wasn't. Exactly. They showed that video of him laying on the ground, pointing the gun, and his finger is in the, you saw that too, Aaron. I was going ballistic about that. Here he is saying he never puts his finger on it, there it was, while he was not even supposed to be pointing the gun and shooting, and it was right there, like on video. Nabbed. I mean, gosh, be honest about it at least, right? Like honesty is the best policy, even in a situation like this. I mean, the more you try to hide it and negate the responsibility or try to change the outcome, the worse that it gets. Like, just be honest with the facts. And like I said, I still have questions. And we're still going to be, I'm sure this isn't over. That's just the who knows, maybe there'll be an appeal. In the way with the prosecution's investigation, the way that it happened, I don't think the judge did anything wrong here at all. As a matter of fact, I like this judge Summers. I liked her. I did. Judge Marlo Summers, she was very even-tempered. She didn't really go for nonsense. When they started bickering back and forth, she's like, let him answer the question. Okay, here. And then she was like, that's it. Like, I can't take this stuff. You bickering. Like, let's take a break. Go drink your coffee. Focus on your coffee and know each other. Like, stop it. she just wasn't having it. But there was another thing that happened. One more thing that actually blew my mind. The defense called a witness, so Mr. Kolke up there, as a firearm expert, who then pointed the gun at the judge and the ceiling before showing everybody it was empty. And the judge actually reprimanded him and said, everybody's quite nervous. You're pulling these guns out. Could you please show us all that they're empty? And then he did. And then he pointed it towards when he was done, he pointed it towards the judge. And even though it was empty, the guard reached over and lowered his hand, because protocol for a weapon anywhere, unless you intend to use it, is that it should be pointed down, not at anyone. Not at anyone. And that was a defense witness. The carelessness alone, the optics alone, it just blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind. Not good. They'll be talking about that one for a while. I actually had pictures of, I mean, I'm not kidding. I had pictures of it to show you all, but now I don't have that presentation up anymore. And we're going to go, but I'll put them in the room for it in the Discord for those of you that are members. And for anyone else who's not a member, I'm not going to force you to be a member to see those pictures. I'm going to do the right thing and tell you that you can see them all on Law and Crime, who did the whole trial, who I did bring up when they were doing the verdict and the actual question here, and they deserve full credit for all of that. I'm just like speaking on it, and they actually did all the work in making sure that the trial from day one was out there and it's available there. Okay, so definitely go over there. I will link their channel below when I'm done, along with there's someone on Law and Crime that I found quite interesting who did 7 points of the trial that I found quite interesting, that I think you will too. And I think I'll link that video too. I know Law and Crime is so huge. You know, they don't need me to sing their praises or anything. But this guy, he did actually bring up that lawyer chick, Natalie, who I do like very much, and her outlook, and asked her some questions. And I think it's a good, you should go check it out. They asked a lot of different lawyers and armorers and people in the industry some really good, valid questions, and I think they did a decent job that way. And I hope that they will not be offended that I used their footage to show the verdict. But I thought it was necessary, that you guys hear it too. It happened so quick. I thought it was only going to be the jury question. I had no idea the verdict was actually right there. I thought they just misspoke, that it was only a jury question. Really happened. 2.5 hours. I mean, that's quick. They definitely were paying attention. Okay. Exactly, Rocket. Don't point. Don't point. Exactly. Don't point at anything. You're right, Liam. If you're prepared to have a new hole in it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. If you don't get out of the habit of safety, you don't have to get into the habit of avoiding it. Exactly. Safety should have been number one the whole time, all exact. Exact. Oh, it does, especially the loss of a life, such a young life, a young mother. It's a tragedy. Like, no one wins in this situation, even with this guilty verdict. No one's winning. You can't bring her back. We still have a motherless child, right? We have the people who loved her not having her in their life. She lost her life. She was young and a good career ahead of her. It is an accident that could have been avoidable. To know that it was avoidable with just caution is heartbreaking for everyone and makes it a real tragedy for everybody involved. Everybody involved. And like I said, more people to be blamed than just Hannah. And it looks like, I'm going to end this poll right before and then end this. It looks like you all agree the jury got it right. You would have voted guilty. 72% of you. 27% say no. And I'd like to talk to those. If somebody would like to comment on the back of the video as to why you think the jury should have not given her guilty, I'd like to talk about it, because I do see that there are more people responsible, and I think that some people, are leaning that way. Well, the armorer's responsibility is what kind of sold it. And the question that they asked was valid. If she had actually, with her armorer duties, she had that gun in her hand, okay? And yeah, he was telling her to hurry up, and she'd already been yelled at for taking too long. It's still her responsibility. She had a choice right then. And she could have did a better job checking it. All right. That's it, guys. I'm going to go. Amy, I'm going to DM you right as soon as I end this stream. I'm just going to end it and go over there. And I'll see some of you over in Discord. I will be back again. I've got more updates. There's still more going on. Andrew Tate, Danny Masterson, TikTok Psychic. Oh my gosh. This stuff. Thank you all for joining me. I'm sorry for the rough start. It's like a mess in the beginning of this video, but thank you all for hanging out, having the discussion. The best part of doing this is, I spend so much time looking into the cases and doing the research and just trying to be as unbiased as I can do. I can come out here and speak to you all about it. And the fact that you enjoy it too and go back and forth, it keeps me doing it. So thank you. So if you have any other questions or you've got more to say about it, please hit the back of the video. Don't forget to like and share. And I'll see you all again really, really soon. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.